Good afternoon. Once again, this is Melissa Wong from the USDOT's SBIR program. I thank everyone for their patience this afternoon dealing with our technical difficulties. The webinar will begin in just a second. This webinar will be view and listen only. All questions must be emailed to dotsbir@dot.gov, and we'll respond to them following the webinar. To listen, please call in using the telephone number and passcode in the chat pod over here on the screen, and then you should be able to hear us. Also, please mute your phone.
All participants are now in listen-only mode.
Okay, everyone has been placed in listen-only mode. We will begin the webinar now. So this afternoon, you've joined us for the pre-proposal webinar for USDOT's Small Business Innovation Program. For our 17.1 solicitation. Today's agenda is as follows. First, we'll go over the ground rules. Then we'll go over the SBIR program, a brief overview. And then we'll go over the eligibility and requirements, proposal preparation, our solicitation appendices, evaluation factors for award. Then the DOT OIG will give a brief summary of fraud awareness. Then we'll go over the SBIR topics and important dates and reminders. Today, I, Melissa Wong, will be doing the bulk of the presentation, and Jamie Mazzoni from USDOT OIG, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, will also be speaking to you. We're joined today by other members of the program office, including Linda Duck, Tammy Taylor, Darren Schaefer. Rachel Sack, unfortunately, could not be with us this afternoon. In terms of ground rules and logistics, as I mentioned, that you are now in listen-only mode. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted to our website. No verbal or written questions will be answered relative to the solicitation during this webinar. Any statements or remarks made during the webinar shall not alter the terms of the solicitation. The terms and conditions of the solicitation remain unchanged unless an amendment is issued that incorporates any changes discussed or alluded to during this webinar. Technical questions pertaining to the 17.1 USDOT SBIR solicitation research topics must be submitted to the USDOT SBIR program office via email at dotsbir@dot.gov. Technical questions will be accepted via email through December 6, 2016 at 11:59 Eastern Time. Answers to the technical questions will be posted in the solicitation section of the USDOT's SBIR program website. Hopefully you've all been to the website by now, and there is a section and a page in there with all the technical questions. As we get them, we answer them and post them to our website. Now a brief SBIR overview. Congress established the SBIR program to stimulate technological innovation while utilizing small businesses to meet federal research and development needs, and encourage participation by minority and disadvantaged businesses in technological innovation, and increase the private sector commercialization of the innovations that are derived through federal research and development. There are approximately 11 federal agencies participating in the SBIR program. DOT is one of them. In 2012, the SBIR program was reauthorized in the National Defense Reauthorization Act of 2012, which was signed into law at the end of the year 2011. Division E of the Act contains the SBIR TTR Reauthorization Act of 2011, which extends the program through 2017. Section 5102 of the statute states that for fiscal year 2017, agencies must expend not less than 3.2% of their extramural budgets for research and development on small business concerns in the SBIR program. The mission of the DOT is to ensure a fast, safe, efficient, accessible, and convenient transportation system that meets the vital national interests and enhances the quality of life of the American people. SBIR topics address high-priority research gaps within the DOT's research and development program. SBIR topics are developed to align with the Secretary of Transportation's strategic priorities as well as specific modal administration priorities and the Small Business Administration goals of the program. There are about 8 modal administrations within DOT that participate in the SBIR program. As you can see in this chart, FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, FHWA, which also comprises the ITS Joint Program Office, that's the Intelligent Transportation Systems Joint Program Office, the Federal Rail Administration, Federal Transit Administration, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the Office of the Secretary, and Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration all participate in the program on a regular basis. The Secretary of Transportation chose the Volpe Center to direct the department's SBIR program way back in November of 1982. The SBIR program office is located at the Volpe Center here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and we direct all the activities required under the SBIR law and execute the policy established by the Small Business Administration. We coordinate with the 8 DOT operating administrations who participate in the program. We issue the solicitation, make the contracts, make the awards, and administer the contracts. And it should be noted that DOT administers contracts, not grants here. Next, we'll go over eligibility and requirements of the program. More detailed information on this topic is located in Section 1 of the solicitation, and you should definitely read through that thoroughly and make sure that you're eligible for the program. So the first requirement of the program is that you meet SBA, the Small Business Administration's definition for the term small business concern. In general, that means that your company must be U.S.-owned, not have more than 500 employees, but there are no revenue restrictions. For more detailed information about what the actual definition is, please go to the citation there, 13 CFR 121.701 to 705, for more detailed information of how SBA defines small business concern. At this time, the U.S. DOT elects not to use the authority that would allow venture capital operating companies, otherwise known as VCOCs, hedge funds, or private equity firms to participate in the SBIR program. Any proposals submitted by these parties will not be considered for award. The primary employment of the principal investigator must be with the small business firm at the time of the contract award and during the conduct of the proposed research. Primary employment means that more than 1/2 of the principal investigator's time is spent working for the small business. For Phase 1, a minimum of 2/3 of the research or analytical effort, measured in labor hours, must be performed by the awardee. For Phase 2, a minimum of 1/2 of the research or analytical effort, measured in labor hours, must be performed by the awardee. Additionally, for Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 2B research, all R&D activities must be performed within the United States. The 2011 reauthorization called for the development of new performance benchmarks. The first of these benchmarks is the Phase 1 to Phase 2 transition rate. For all U.S. DOT SBIR program Phase 1 applicants that have received 20 or more SBIR Phase 1 awards over the past 5-year period, the ratio of Phase 2 awards to Phase 1 awards received must be at least 0.25. That means if you've had 20 or more Phase 1 awards, a quarter of them, or 5 of them, must have transitioned to Phase 2 in order to meet this benchmark. More information on this benchmark can be found at SBIR.gov, and you should check there to see if your company meets the transition rate. There's also a commercialization benchmark identified in the 2011 reauthorization. However, the commercialization rate is not a requirement for this solicitation. It is expected to be introduced in the future by SBA and will apply only to SBIR Phase 1 applicants that have received more than 16 or more Phase 2 awards over the past 10 fiscal years, excluding the last 2 years. Again, for more information on these performance benchmarks, please visit the SBIR.gov website. Now we'll go into proposal preparation. All proposal preparation information is located in Section 3 of the solicitation. This is an extremely important section of the solicitation. I suggest taking a detailed look at it and keeping it open while preparing your solicitation. All proposals must be submitted in 3 separate files. One is for the technical proposal, and it should be saved as a PDF. One is for the cost proposal, which we call Appendix C, and that can be either in Excel format or a PDF. If you're submitting supporting documentation, generally what we ask you to do is save the Excel spreadsheet along with the supporting documentation into one PDF. And then the third file is for Appendices A, B, and D, and that should be saved as one PDF and will be uploaded as such. Please don't forget, you must register your company in the SBA Company Registry Database. Each small business applying to the program is required to complete its registration in the SBA's Company Registry. The URL is here prior to submitting its application and should include a copy of that submission in the proposal. When you register your company, it generates a page that you then save as a PDF and then use in the proposal that you submit. You will also need to obtain a DUNS number, a Data Universal Numbering System identification number. It can take a few days to get a DUNS number, so please do this step as soon as possible. Also, you need to register or update your information in SAM, or the System for Award Management, before being awarded a contract. So there is, sometimes your registration isn't complete by the time you submit your proposal. That is okay. During the submission process, we ask you if when your SAM registration expires, or if it has not yet been, or if you've not yet received it. If you haven't received it, that's okay. We just need it before you actually get an award. But we recommend doing that as soon as possible to avoid that circumstance. Please follow the layout guidance and section organization instructions. That's Section 3 of the solicitation. Again, probably one of the most important sections of the solicitation. We really do ask that you adhere to the format required, and please take a serious look at those that layout. Phase 1 proposal submission process due. So these are some helpful tips, things you should remember during your proposal preparation process. I can't emphasize this enough, but you need to read the solicitation and follow all of the instructions for submission. We really do not like to disqualify anyone for not following the instructions or on technicalities, but we must require that everyone follows the same format so that everyone's working off the same set of instructions, and we can quickly judge whether or not you've included all the required portions of your proposal. Please ensure that your proposal aligns within the scope of research for the topic that you're applying to. We'll go over the topics briefly at the end of the webinar here today. As I mentioned, obtain a DUNS number prior to proposal submission. I suggest doing that as soon as possible. If you don't already have one, it is a requirement. Register and update your information in the system for award management. Please provide a detailed and well-organized work plan. It's essential that we understand not only what your idea and solution is, but how you plan to execute that idea and solution. Also, follow the procedures for requesting clarification questions on research topics. Those procedures are outlined within the solicitation, and we've gone over them here briefly. In order to submit a technical question, you need to email that question to DOT SBIR. We then will ask the technical experts. We forward the question over to the technical experts, ask them for their response. When we receive their response, we email it back to the questioner as well as post that information to our website. Both the question and the answer will be posted to our website so that everyone, all small businesses, are working off the same set of information. Please provide the qualifications for key personnel in addition to the principal investigator. Also check to make sure that the completed appendices are all included. All the appendices are required. Please double-check all your cost figures and calculation, and also remember to sign Appendix A. Some don'ts. Please do not send your proposal in via email. We have an online submission process. You submit your proposal through our website. Please remember that this is a multi-step process. Our submission process via our website can take a few minutes, a half hour, even an hour at times, depending on the information you have to convey. So please do not wait to the last minute. It's a multi-step process that will take some time, and we ask you to try to get your proposal in as soon as possible. That way we avoid any last-minute issues with people not being able to get through the process in time for the solicitation close. Please don't send duplicate proposals. If you happen to mistakenly submit a duplicate proposal to the proposal system, please just send us an email and let us know that it's a duplicate proposal. Otherwise, you'll most likely get an email or a call from us asking if it's a duplicate proposal. But we want you to avoid that if you can. Please don't ask the program office for guidance on whether or not your company should submit a proposal. That's a decision you need to make for yourselves. Also, don't create arbitrary overhead, indirect, or profit rates. These need to be based on actual activities within your firm. For more information on that, there is some information available on our website that you may find helpful. And again, please don't wait until the deadline to submit your proposal. It's always a difficult situation when someone's trying to get their proposal in at 4:59 and doesn't have time to get through the entire process. But in the interest of fairness to everyone, we have to adhere to the deadline set. So your proposal needs to be in and through the submission process by the close of the solicitation. I cannot emphasize that enough. We'll briefly go over the appendices required. Proposal signature page we call Appendix A. This is within the solicitation document, but we also have a Microsoft Word version available on our website to make it easier for you to fill out. So you'll see it within the solicitation document, and then also if you go to our website, there'll be a handy link to a Word version for you to fill out. The same goes for the project summary, or Appendix B. It's located within the solicitation, but then we also have a Microsoft Word version on our website. The contract pricing proposal, which we call Appendix C, is an Excel spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is rather detailed and has its own set of instructions, which we'll go over in a second. And then the SBIR funding agreement certification is Appendix D, and that we also have as a Word document on our website. A little more information about Appendix C, your cost proposal. We do provide a separate set of instructions for the cost proposal, so please download those and read them and follow them carefully. Provide supporting information for all of your costs proposed, so that way your contract can get awarded more quickly. So we want supporting documentation for any materials or subcontractors or indirect rates, that type of thing. Any cost that is not supported may cause the proposal amount to be reduced. So make sure that we have all the information we need. The Appendix C document does not have a page limit, so your supporting documentation, feel free to send in as much supporting documentation as you feel is relevant. A little more information on Appendix C. As I mentioned, there are a number of schedules within Appendix C. Here are some of the more critical ones. Schedule A is the indirect costs. So if you can, provide a DCA indirect rate agreement to support your indirect rates. However, if this is not available, if you don't have a DCA indirect rate agreement, provide detailed cost elements of your indirect rates to support the rates you're proposing. On Schedule C, we ask for material costs. Here you can provide internet quotes or other backup information to support the unit price of whatever materials you'll need to have for your contract, for your proposal. Excuse me. Schedule F is subcontracts and consultants. Participants must provide complete cost details for subcontract amounts and include a letter of commitment from the subcontractor. Schedule I is our narrative explanation, and this is where you can explain to our contracting officers exactly what you meant by the numbers and details you provided within the other schedules. So please provide any detailed explanation of any of the costs from any of the schedules, which will allow your proposal to be analyzed quicker so that we can understand to a greater degree how you're going to spend the money that you're proposing, and your contract can be awarded sooner. Evaluation factors and award information. This is Section 4 of the solicitation. All proposals will be evaluated on these 4 factors. First is scientific and technical merit and the feasibility of the proposal's commercial potential. The second is the work plan, as I mentioned before. While we want you to have an innovative and scientifically feasible solution, we also need to know how you're going to execute on that. So the work plan is critical to the evaluation team's understanding of how you will execute on your idea. Also, the third one is qualifications of the proposed principal or key investigators. This is often 1 or 2 or 3, however many CVs are useful there. And the supporting staff, facilities, and equipment you will also be evaluated on. Specific award information. All Phase 1 awards for the DOT will be firm fixed-price contracts. The period of performance for a Phase 1 contract shall be 6 months. Funding levels for each topic are determined by the agency sponsoring the research. Proposals that exceed the Phase 1 estimated award amount listed in Section 9 of the solicitation will not be considered for award. So make sure that if your topic has a funding limit of $100,000, you're writing your proposal for $100,000 and not $150,000. This mistake happens in nearly every solicitation, so I really want to caution everybody to pay close attention to what the specific award amount for your specific topic is and write the proposal to that amount. Under Phase 1 SBIR contracts, 3 reports will be required. 2 interim narrative reports and a comprehensive final report. Payments for Phase 1 contracts will be made in 3 equal installments upon submission of invoices in accordance with the instructions in the contract award document. Now we're going to take a couple minutes to go over waste, fraud, and abuse. We have Jamie Mazzoni. She will speak to you about DOT's efforts to curb waste, fraud, and abuse. Jamie?
Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Mazzoni. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the Department of Transportation, the Office of Inspector General, out of the Cambridge, Massachusetts office here at the Volpe Center. Our region, we're in Region 1, so we cover all of New England and the Northern District of New York. We have 7 regions across the country that all investigate fraud, waste, and abuse against any of the DOT funds or DOT modes. So just as a short briefing over kind of the different types of fraud that we investigate, we conduct criminal investigations and civil investigations and also administrative investigations of allegations of fraud, waste, and abuse. So for us to investigate it, it would have to involve any DOT funds or any of the DOT modes, and any of programs or entities that would receive any DOT funds. So our special agents are all federal law enforcement agents, and they conduct criminal investigations, independent investigations against allegations involving any persons or entities that engage in any fraudulent criminal activity relating to any of our programs. So some of the areas that we investigate and we focus on are false statements or false claims involving any DOT funds or DOT modes. So any false statement is any statement or claim for reimbursement containing false, fictitious, fraudulent representations. And those fraudulent representations could be on invoices, statements of work, technical representations, material overcharging, or any proposals. We also investigate bribery cases where an offering was made to a government official of something of value in exchange for an official act. We also investigate product substitution, which are misrepresentations of the quality, quantity, or qualifications of the product produced or furnished. Some other common fraud schemes that we investigate are bid rigging, conflicts of interest, disadvantaged business enterprise or minority business enterprises cases, and in this case, small business enterprise as well. Debris removal, kickbacks, material overcharging, again, product substitution, quality control testing, time overcharging, bribery. We also investigate household goods and moving fraud, and general fraud cases. What we look for in some of our cases are duplicate invoices, no supporting documentation, adjustments to bills, wrong rates or classifications and time card alterations, charging costs associated with other projects. Basically, what you can do is provide accurate information, seek an explanation if you have any questions about any of the documentation before you go forward. Basically, trust your gut and ask as many questions and follow all the rules and regulations that have been provided to you, and document your efforts of such. And report any concerns that you might have. We also have, a hotline where you can report any fraud, waste, and abuse. This is some of the ways that we get our cases is through hotlines if you become aware of any fraud, waste, and abuse under any of the DOT modes or involving any DOT funding. This slide also shows our 7 regions. Like I said, I'm in Region 1. Our special agent in charge is Todd Damiani, who is what we call the stack of the office. Right now we have 7 agents in this region, like I said, that all cover all of New England and the Northern District of New York.
Great. Thanks very much, Jamie. That's very helpful. So I'm sure we'll have no instances of concern here with the group on the phone. All right, so now we'll go into the USDOT's 17.1 topics. These are listed in Section 9 of the solicitation, and while we're going to show you the topics here today, these are just the titles of the topics. There's a detailed description of each topic within the solicitation. Please read through your topic very carefully. Read through all the topics very carefully. But once you've decided on a topic and know what you're going to do, read through the topic very carefully. If you do have any technical questions, please submit those in a timely manner as soon as possible via email, and we'll be happy to answer those. The topics here, we have 9 topics for our 17.1 solicitation. They're from 5 modes of transportation. The 17.1 FH1 topic is accurate and rapid measurement of absorption capacity in fly ash in concrete mixtures. FH2 is rapid assessment of air void systems in fresh concrete. You'll notice that both of these topics for the Phase 1 have a funding limit of $100,000. The Phase 2 limit for the first one is $750 and second one $850. These are just estimates at this point to give you some idea. At this point, you know, it's difficult to give any certainty around the number because we don't know what the Phase 1 project will exactly be like. And for the Phase 2 estimated award amount, we will finalize that after the Phase 1s are completed. For 17.1 FR1, methods for remanufacturing creosote railroad ties, the funding limit for Phase 1 is $150,000, and the estimate for Phase 2 is $500,000. For FR2, broken rail detection from flashing rear-end device, the Phase 1 funding limit is $150,000, and the estimate for Phase 2 is $300,000. For FR3, resilient wayside structures to reduce severity of passenger equipment collisions and derailments, The Phase 1 level is $150,000, and the Phase 2 is $300,000.
Next screen.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, next screen, they were saying. So where was I? FR4. Smartphone applications for onboard railroad passenger information systems. The Phase 1 limit is $150,000, and the Phase 2 estimate is $250,000. FT1, train crowding and information dissemination for transit users. The Phase 1 funding limit is $150,000, and Phase 2 estimate is $750,000. NH1, detection of THC use in drivers, is $150,000 Phase 1 funding limit and $500,000 Phase 2 estimate. And the OS1 topic, system and supply chain for recycling lithium-ion batteries in the transportation system. The Phase 1 funding limit is $100,000, and the Phase 2 estimate is $200,000. So again, all of these topics have more detailed descriptions within the Phase 1, within the solicitation, so please do go and read those. We'll take any technical questions up until December 6th, so please get those in as early as possible, and we'll get those over to the technical experts. DOT does not provide direct access to the technical experts during the solicitation period. Again, we want to reiterate that the proposals that exceed their Phase 1 estimated award amount will not be considered for award. Phase 2 funding level noted in the solicitation is an estimate only and is subject to the availability of funds and/or the technical requirements necessary to accelerate the development of a commercial product or innovation. Any changes to the Phase 2 estimated funding level listed will be communicated to the small business after the completion of the Phase 1 project. Going on, so if you don't see a topic that aligns with what you or your company does in terms of research or research and development, you're welcome to suggest a topic. So if you have an idea for a future DOT SBIR topic, please go to our website to the Suggest a Topic link and submit an idea for future consideration. We'll then take that list of ideas and send those out to the various modes of transportation or modal administrations, we call them, and see if there's any interest in your topic. Important dates and reminders. As you all know, the solicitation opened on October 19th. Today is the pre-proposal webinar here on October 24th. As I mentioned, we'll accept technical questions until December 6th, but the earlier the better on those. Appendix C questions. So if you're having any trouble understanding the cost proposal, please get us any questions on the cost proposal by December 14th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The solicitation will close on December 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Please, I'll reiterate, get your solicitations in as early as, get your proposals in as early as possible. We anticipate recommendations for award being made no later than March 2017, approximately 90 days from the solicitation close, and we would like the awards to be processed no later than June 2017, or 180 days from the solicitation close. Please remember, I'm going to say it again, please be sure to submit your proposals before the deadline. The submittal process may take several minutes to complete because it is a multi-step process, and you have to upload 3 separate files. Applicants are encouraged to submit their proposals as early as possible. If you're having any trouble with the submission process, please feel free to contact our office directly. We want to help as much as possible, get you through understanding the solicitation and getting your proposal submitted correctly and on time. So we're here to help if you need us. So again, please submit any and all questions from this webinar to the following email address: DOTSBIR@DOT.gov. We thank you very much for your attendance and participation in this webinar, and we welcome any questions that you may have following the webinar. Thanks again, and enjoy the remainder of your day.